stuck here. The cops won't bother me. Hey squids, today I wanted to talk to you about some of the advantages of darksiding your motorcycle. Now, it's not for everybody, I understand that, but there are some very clear advantages to darksiding your motorcycle. And for me, I have my V-Strom 650, but darksiding should work in many motorcycles, including sport bikes. So today in this video, let's go over some of the advantages of darksiding your motorcycle. Today in this video, let's go over some of the advantages that you will get from darksiding your motorcycle. One of the things that is an advantage to me is that just aesthetically and the looks of the bike, it looks pretty badass. Having this big ass tire on your motorcycle always looks fantastic in my opinion. The load on your tire is much greater, so you can put a whole lot more weight on this tire. That's why Goldwing riders use this quite often, because their bikes are so much heavier and they carry so much gear. But on a car tire like this, even if you load it up completely up to capacity, it's not going to do anything to the motorcycle. Like, it can still handle the stress of carrying a lot of weight. That's another great advantage to Darkside tires, is that they are much stronger than motorcycle tires. Another great benefit is that these tires, they're so thick and they're on so well. Even if you get a flat tire, you can ride home slowly on a flat tire. Now, I don't recommend riding in a flat tire, but I did get a flat tire on my previous Darkside tire, and I just rode it home with it. So, it was perfectly stable. Now, I could not do that on a motorcycle tire, which is just incredible. And I rode very slow because I'm paranoid about falling, but these can really help out if you get a flat tire and just for riding short periods, getting you home. The price of these tires is much cheaper, not too much cheaper. Everybody thinks that Darkside riders get into this because they're cheapskates. But in reality, sometimes these tires, these performance tires, cost more than motorcycle tires. But you can find car tires much cheaper than motorcycle tires, usually online. And this one is about $140. So if you're considering the cost, it can be cheaper to buy a car tire like this and put it on your motorcycle. Car tires are superior to motorcycle tires. And the reason is there's a whole lot more research and development that goes into car tires just because of the mass production of car tires. And when you consider that motorcycle tires, there's only like a small amount of motorcycle tires around because not a lot of motorcyclists are on the road. People use cars as transportation much more than motorcycles. There's many more cars around. So there's much more money to be made from car tires just because of the sheer production of these car tires. And that's the reason I went with these Darkside tires, because this performance tire works really, really well. And it's just as sticky as any motorcycle tire and lasts just as long. Something that's very confusing to motorcycle riders when you first start is like, why am I switching out tires every 5,000 miles when I can get like 50,000 miles on a car tire and still have the same performance? Because these tires are just as sticky as any other motorcycle tire and give you much better life. Another advantage is commuting. Commuting on a tire like this makes great sense. For years and years, I used to ride 30 miles each way, and I put hundreds and thousands of miles on cars or on motorcycles. So if I had something like this, I might be putting on a tire every 2 years instead of every few months. So that's another great thing of commuting. It's also much more stable. You have a very wide contact path, so in the rain, you have this much more of tire on the ground at all times. And basically, in the rain, in the snow, if you ride all weather, these tires give you much better grip than a motorcycle tire's little tiny patch on the ground. Another advantage that you have on a Darkside tire like this is that If you ride cross-country in a touring aspect, you have a much greater advantage because on a motorcycle tire, when you ride a motorcycle across the United States, for example, you're going to have to switch out the tire at least once because there's so many miles to cover. On a car tire, you don't have to worry about that. And this is one of the reasons I got into the car tire thing on motorcycles, is because I didn't have to switch a tire mid-ride across the United States. It takes you out of your ride. You have to find a motorcycle shop. You have to find the motorcycle tire. And then you have to install it and wait around for these mechanics. If you have one of these things, you can just keep riding. There's no point of like stopping. I can like ride twice, maybe 2 or 3 times across the United States and still be on the same tire. That's a significant improvement. And for me, that's one of the reasons I switched to these car tires. Another advantage is stability. Stability all around on a motorcycle tire is decreased. When you have a car tire, you have such a wide contact patch on the ground at all times, and much greater even in the corners. You have a much greater contact patch in the corners because when the tire goes over a little bit, people would think that somehow you would go off in the edge, but that's not the case. The tire has more of a contact patch and it flexes a little bit to give you the same amount and greater stability through a corner. Everybody likes to think that these tires are just for like inline riding, but that's not the case. And when you ride one of these, you will be cornering just as well as any other. These tires last quite a bit of time. They are rated for about 50,000 miles, but that's on a car. Now, when you consider that it's on a motorcycle, they could last 80, 90,000 miles. I've heard that Goldwing riders can like put 90,000 miles on their bikes on the Darkside tires. And for me, that was one of the advantages because I like to do touring and riding across the United States. But they do last much longer than a motorcycle tire. A motorcycle tire, I was switching out tires every 6,000, 7,000 miles. And on a V-Strom, the periods are a little bit longer. But on a sport bike, you're getting like 3,000 to 5,000 per tire, which is really kind of unacceptable when you consider that. But motorcycle riders, they just accept it because that's the only option that they have. The number one reason you should get a Darkside tire is to piss off douchey motorcyclists on the internet. That's one of the things that I find very amusing, is that people are so caught up on tires and tire safety, and somehow they think you're endangering mankind, that it's kind of fun to piss them off. And it's not like that I'm trolling. It's oftentimes I'll post up a photo of my bike parked somewhere in a beautiful like scenic spot, and then they'll notice the tire and then they start arguing. But it's never an issue for me to piss people off. But it's kind of funny that people are so upset about putting a car tire on a motorcycle. It's a very weird thing because people want to convince you that you're wrong, tell you that you're wrong, and then not only that, but they consider you to be evil for doing this. And oftentimes they never have any good explanation for the arguments against it. That's one of the things that you're going to find about Darkside tire riders. They're not really into like convincing you that you should do this. This is something that you do if you're interested, if you want higher mileage, if you don't want to be changing tires every like 5,000 miles. But it's not for everybody. I think a lot of people would benefit from this just because it's a much better option. But I think a lot of motorcycling is for posing, and the riders that do ride and who have time to complain on the internet, they're not really riding very much. And one of the things I keep telling people about Darkside riders, the reason that they put these car tires on their motorcycles is because they're riding much more than you. They're riding so much that a regular motorcycle tire is not good enough for them. So if you want to complain about Darkside tires, maybe consider other things that are worse for people. For example, riders who don't wear helmets, or riders who wear half helmets, or maybe obesity. That's usually a better cause for helping mankind than complaining about experienced riders who put car tires on their motorcycles. Well guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the advantages to putting a Darkside tire on your motorcycle. It's not for everybody, so if it's not for you, don't put it. Nobody cares, and I'll see you in the next video.